Hello, third grade. Welcome to math class. You are going to need your book opened to page 540. You will need a piece of paper and a pencil. Make sure on the paper that you have your name written in cursive on the right-hand corner, lesson number 101, and the date, April 29th, 2020. Do you realize Friday is May? Isn't that amazing? So, we are going to get started. One of the things I have up here is I have something called an I can statement, and this is basically telling us what our focus is today. What are we going to be able to do when we're done? And on here it says I can divide two-digit numbers. Our focus is, what are we going to do? We're going to divide two-digit numbers. Now we understand adding, remember that's plus, subtracting, multiply, and then divide. So what we're going to do today is we are going to go through the examples on page 542 and 543. I'm going to walk you through those. You have those in front of you. Again, 542, example number 1. I'll work through it on the board for both of the examples, and then you can start writing things down for the lesson practice. If you'd like to write some things down for the examples, go ahead. That's great. That's fantastic. That'll help too. But you're not required to do that, but please follow along. So I'm looking at the example. It says Maria is putting a collection of 48 postcards into a photo album. Each page can hold 3 postcards. How many pages can she fill? Now, as you can see, this is a word problem. When we're dealing with word problems, we need to identify the numbers and then we have to figure out what to do with them. So right here, it's talking about Maria has a collection of 48 postcards. Wow, that's a lot of postcards. So those are usually little pictures that you get. I don't know if any of you do that, where if you go on vacation, there's usually like a picture and you just write a few little sentences and then you put in the mail, okay? So she has 48 of those little cards. And what she's trying to do is she has a photo album with multiple pages. She's trying to figure out how many pages will she need, because she wants to put 3 on each page. So we are going to use division to figure that out. So for example 1, what I'm going to do here is we have 48 postcards. She can fit 3 on a page. So in other words, 48 divided by 3, how many pages can she use for this? So then what we're going to do is we're going to do division. So we start here. 3 can go into 4 how many times without going over? Remember, you do not want to go over, but you want to get as close as you can. Well, you can't go in twice because that's 6, but you can go in once. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then I'll subtract. And then I'm going to bring this down. 3 can go into 18 how many times? Well, 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. So then I think 3 times 6 is 18. I subtract, it's 0. That's my answer. So my answer would be 16 pages. So let's go to the next example. And we're going to take a look at example number 2 on the top of page 543. Rob has a handful of nickels that total 80 cents. How many nickels does Rob have? So he's got this handful of money, right? It's all nickels. It's all he has. And it equals 80 cents. So we're like, how many of those coins are in his hand? So again, let's identify. So he has 80 cents, correct? And how much is a nickel worth? A nickel's worth 5 cents. So we're going to say 80 divided by 5. Well, we know in his hand this equals 80 cents. So now we have to figure out how much. So we think to ourselves, how much can 5 go into 8 without going over? 5 can go into 8 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. I subtract. And then I bring down the 0. So now, how many times can 5 go into 30? 5 can go into 30 without going over exactly 6 times, because 6 times 5 is 30. I multiply that, subtract, I'm good. So that would be 16, not times, that would be, he has 16 nickels. Well, look at that. It looks like our answers are the same for both, but just different labels, okay? So now let's get to the lesson practice problems. So this is what we're going to be doing. We are going to divide 2-digit numbers, and we want to make sure that we have the correct label, okay? So let's look at page 543, letter A. We're going to do the same thing, and you need to write these down. So letter A, to display his rock collection, Juan glues 5 rocks on each card. How many cards does he need for 75 rocks? So it's kind of similar to this one. Remember, she had 48 postcards. She wanted to put 3 on each page. So he has 75 rocks. He wants to put 5 rocks on a page. So we're going to take 75 divided by 5. So how many times can 5 go into 7? Without going over? 1. So we take 1 times 5 is 5, subtract that from 7, which is 2. We bring the 5 down. 5 can go into 25 how many times? 5 times, because 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. That equals 0. That means we're done. And my answer says, how many cards does he need for 75 rocks? He needs 15 cards. So let's go on letter B. Shelley collected 54 shells that she will store in plastic bags. If she puts 3 shells in each bag, how many bags of shells will she have? So 54. It's a lot of shells. And she wants to put 3 in each. So now we have to figure out how many bags does she need. So how many times can 3 go into 5? 3 can go into 5 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. Then we subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. I bring down the 4. Now I say, how many times can 3 go into 24? 3 can go into 24 8 times. Because 3 times 8 is 24. Multiply that, subtract, done. So my label for letter B is bags. So let's go on with C. If 76 horn players line up in 4 rows, how many players will be in each row? Same thing. So we take 76 divided by 4. How many times can 4 go into 7 without going over? Once. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract that from 7, which is 3. Bring down the 6. 4 can go into 36. How many times? 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. Subtract 0. Letter C, how many players will be in each row? 19 players. If this seemed a little fast, like let's say you did this and you're like, whoa, I didn't quite understand all this. Go back, replay the video again. And another option is you can go back, go through the problem, pause it, write down the next one. Before it gets the answer, try to go through it yourself, okay? I hope that you understand how to divide 2-digit numbers. If you don't, please let me know and I'll be happy to help you. See you next time.